Hey there, weird and wonderful people. Welcome back to another Back to Basics, where I explain some of the fundamentals of art and how to get a little bit better at it. Today we're starting with faces. There's such a huge part of the human brain that's dedicated to human faces that sometimes it's really hard to make it look good and not uncanny. Same with hands. To understand faces, I've gotten down some skulls, and I wanted to break it down to simple shapes before I go into specific proportions. So, for example, blue for the eyeballs, red for the nose bridge, yellow for the jawline and the cheek placement, and green for the chin. These are the fundamental basics of any face. The mouth and eyebrows and everything else can come in later. With sketching, the eyebrows will be a third of the way up the skull. The smile will always end from the center of the eye socket. Something else to note is the nose should be about half the distance away from the eyes, if you would put an eye there, or to even a full eye between. That way your eyes don't get too close. Another thing to note is the nose should always be halfway down the face. Something a lot of artists struggle with, myself included, is we put the actual face section too close to the brow. So starting with some skulls, which I highly recommend you guys to do, to just better understand the angles of the face, is blocking out these same four shapes with the skulls and where they're looking. So blue where the eyes would look, how much is going to be covered by the skull or the cheekbones, where the cheeks actually start or end. The cheeks will, of course, come to the cheekbone and come all the way down. The chin is where the face is going to end. The cheek is how it's going to fill out, so on and so forth. The more you practice with this, and actually redoing this, because I haven't done it in forever, helped give me a great refresher. Now that we've got the actual fundamental blocks in place with these skulls, we can start adding in lines. We can start adding in facial features. I'm keeping this very, very simple. Something else to note is the face would always be smaller than the actual cranium. The cranium should be almost double the size of the actual face, otherwise your face looks very, very small and wonky. Something else to note is eyes are the same level as the top of the ears. If you keep that in mind, no matter what position you're looking at, it'll follow through. Once again, keep in mind, especially with these top-down views, the cranium will always be longer than the actual face because, the brain's in there. We need the brain. We're supposed to be smart, even though not a lot of the population is smart. You'll also notice as I'm making these, I'll make a little circle with a cross. And that's a great way to keep in mind of, hey, where the actual foundation of the face is and where the ear is going. I just personally find it's easier to put that little circle along the side of the face just to keep in mind of where everything is being placed. I'm doing different forms of sketching, from basic like eyes and nose and following the bones exactly, to a lot more sketchy of the first pass, such as blocked nose, really funky ears that look lopsided, but it's just a placement. Now that I'm starting to feel this, I'm going to go more in depth with muscle structure, where the cheeks are going to go, how far the chin's going to come out, because with it being a skull, we don't have a fullness of that. Another really great way to rough it out is a circle, and the front view is going to be very straight lines, and just keep following these skulls. Keep practicing where these skulls are going to go and where they're facing. The more you get used to how the skull works instead of my art or basing it off another person's art, the more you're going to understand and correct yourself if you notice something is not lining up. If you have too wide of a smile, the widest smile, especially if we're starting with this gentleman here, always ends at the middle of the eyes. So now that I understand how the fundamental shapes are going, I'm actually bypassing the sketchiness altogether, and I am essentially tracing the mouth and the hair and the textures of the face so I can better understand how the muscle works in motion. honestly, doing a rough sketch and really quick pass over actual faces a great way too to understand what the limitations of the eyes, nose, and mouth are. It's also a great way to understand, hey, where does the cranium end? Where does the nose bridge start with different ethnicities? Line weight is also going to be a huge aspect to this as well. The more delicate the part of the face is, the thinner the line should be. Your eyes will naturally go towards thin lines before thick. With these circles, I am starting with showing off some aspects of the face, starting with the eyes. The eye should always follow these spheres because the eye is not a flat thing as much as anime will tell you otherwise. It's a three-dimensional thing. So always follow where the circle is leading, no matter where the eyeball is looking. As for noses, noses can be almost any shape. Square, triangle, rectangle. More commonly, most humans have very triangle noses, but there are some with big, round, or square noses. Another thing with mouths is try to keep, again, following that line. Now that we understand some of the cores of the face, we can go in with first passes and rough sketches. I'm doing multiple different face shapes from different directions, and also I did a couple different styles, such as realism, cartoony, and even I have a chibi down at the bottom right. Once these are in, instead of just going straight to the second pass, I'm re-showing and demonstrating the fundamentals, such as the eyes, nose, cheek, and mouth. By following these lines, it gives you a better understanding of where everything is going to be placed. And once that's in, you just start adding some characteristics, some personality. Eyes, unless it's an extreme perspective drawing, should always be parallel to where they start to where they end. A lot of artists, myself included, will have an eye smaller from the one that's facing away from us. So if it's a 3/4 view, the one that's closer to the back of the head often is smaller, when in fact it is not. Another thing is mouths typically will curve up slightly in the middle when they're open compared to when closed. The more detail you put in a face and the thinner of a pen or pencil or whatever you're using to draw, the more realistic and the better it's going to look. I'm using a much thicker line because this is, again, first pass. I'm not spending too much time on this. I'm just showing where the lines are starting and how to continue it once you've got. And with these initial passes, you've got a basic understanding of faces. So, what do you guys think? I have more plans of doing more back to basics coming, but I would love to hear from you guys which you would like to hear next. Or if you guys have any critiques on this video, I would love to hear it. Tell me down at the bottom. If you love my art and you love seeing these processes or my animations, please comment and subscribe, ring that bell so you always know when I'm uploading, never want to miss. Thank you guys so much for joining me in with this quick back to basics lesson, and stay safe and sane. Bye! Do